Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited you're here today because what I'm about to share with you is going to transform the way you understand yourself and your potential. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss what could be the most important videos for your personal transformation. Today, we're going to explore something that has been hiding in plain sight your entire life. Something so simple yet so profound that it's going to blow your mind when you realize how it's been influencing your reality all along. I'm talking about the last digit of your birth year and the incredible cosmic fingerprint it leaves on your personality, your strengths, your challenges, and your destiny. Now, I know what you're thinking. Really? The last digit of my birth year? That sounds like some made-up internet thing. I had the exact same thought when I first encountered this concept during my deep dive into universal patterns in consciousness studies. But let me tell you something. After researching this phenomenon for over 5 years, working with thousands of people, and documenting the undeniable patterns, I can stand before you today and say with absolute certainty that this is real, this is powerful, and this is going to change everything for you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why certain people born in the same year as you seem to share similar traits? Or why you feel an instant connection with some individuals while others feel like they're operating on a completely different frequency? What I've discovered is that the universe operates in cycles, and these cycles imprint specific energy signatures on us at the moment of our birth. The last digit of your birth year is like a cosmic code that reveals your core energetic blueprint. It's not about predicting specific events in your life. It's about understanding the fundamental energies you came here to work with. It's about recognizing your innate gifts and the lessons your soul chose to learn in this lifetime. I remember when I first tested this system on a group of volunteers, 500 people from all walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds. The results were astounding. The patterns were so clear, so consistent, that it couldn't be dismissed as coincidence. What we discovered was that people sharing the same final digit in their birth year shared remarkable similarities in how they processed information, how they approached challenges, what motivated them, and even the types of obstacles they frequently encountered. Now, before I reveal the meaning behind each number, I want you to take a moment to remember your birth year. Focus on that final digit, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Hold that number in your mind as we go through this journey together. And I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to understand yourself on a whole new level. Let's start with those born in years ending with 0. If your birth year ends in 0, like 1980, 1990, 2000, or even 1970, you are what I call a cycle initiator. You came into this world at the beginning of a new decade, a time of fresh starts and new beginnings. This energy is embedded in your very essence. You are naturally gifted at starting things, at seeing possibilities where others see nothing but empty space. You have an innate ability to envision new realities and take those crucial first steps that others hesitate to take. But here's where it gets interesting. With this pioneering spirit comes a unique challenge. You often struggle with follow-through. You're so excited about beginning new ventures that you sometimes leave projects unfinished when the initial excitement wears off. Your life lesson is learning the power of completion, of seeing things through to their conclusion, even when the novelty has faded. I worked with a client born in 1990 who had started 7 businesses by the age of 30, but never grew any of them beyond the initial stages. Once he understood this pattern was linked to his birth energy, he was able to implement specific strategies to overcome this tendency. Today, he runs a successful company that he's built and sustained for years, breaking the cycle that had previously held him back. For those of you whose birth year ends in 1981, 1991, 2001, and so on, you are what I call the visionary connector. You came into this world carrying the energy of innovation blended with collaboration. You naturally see how ideas, people, and opportunities can be connected in new ways to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Your gift is your ability to build bridges between different concepts, communities, or individuals. You're often the person who introduces people who go on to create amazing things together. You instinctively recognize patterns and connections that others miss entirely. Your challenge, however, is that you can sometimes feel pulled in too many directions. Because you see so many possibilities and connections, you may struggle with focus and prioritization. Your life lesson is learning to channel your connective energy into specific pathways rather than trying to connect everything at once. I remember working with a woman born in 1971 who was frustrated because she felt her career had been all over the place. She had worked in marketing, then education, then nonprofit management, then consulting. What she couldn't see, but what was immediately clear to me, was how each of these experiences had given her a unique perspective that made her exceptional at creating collaborative programs between businesses and educational institutions. Once she embraced her nature as a visionary connector rather than fighting against it, her career flourished in ways she had never imagined. Now, for those born in years ending with 2, like 1982, 1992, 2002, you are what I call the harmonious builder. You came into this world with an extraordinary capacity for creating stability, nurturing relationships, and establishing foundations that stand the test of time. Your natural gifts include patience, emotional intelligence, and the ability to create environments where others feel safe and supported. You're often the peacemaker in conflicts, the one who can see all sides of a situation and find the common ground that others miss. Your challenge is that you sometimes prioritize harmony over truth. You may avoid necessary conflicts or difficult conversations because you're so focused on maintaining balance. Your life lesson is learning that true harmony sometimes requires disruption first, that the deepest peace often comes after honestly confronting what isn't working. I once worked with a teacher born in 1962 who was beloved by students and colleagues alike for his supportive approach, but who struggled with addressing problematic behavior in his classroom because he so deeply wanted everyone to get along. When he understood this pattern was connected to his birth energy, he was able to develop techniques for addressing issues directly while still maintaining the supportive environment that came naturally to him. His classroom transformed from merely pleasant to truly transformative, as he learned to balance harmony with necessary boundaries. For those whose birth year ends in 3, 1983, 1993, 2003, and others, you are what I call the creative expressor. You entered this world with an innate need to communicate, to share ideas, and to express the unique perspective you carry. Your natural gifts include eloquence, creativity, and the ability to articulate complex emotions and concepts in ways that resonate with others. You're often drawn to creative pursuits, writing, speaking, art, music, or any medium through which your inner world can be shared with others. Your challenge is that you can sometimes become so focused on self-expression that you forget to listen, to receive, to let others' wisdom shape your own understanding. Your life lesson is learning the dance between expression and reception, between speaking your truth and being open to the truths others have to share. I worked with a brilliant writer born in 1973 who could captivate audiences with her words but struggled in her personal relationships because she dominated conversations and rarely created space for others to share their perspectives. As she came to understand this pattern, she developed practices of intentional listening that transformed not only her relationships but also deepened her creative work as she learned to incorporate more diverse perspectives into her worldview. For those born in years ending with 4, like 1984, 1994, 2004, you are what I call the structural innovator. You came into this world with an exceptional ability to create systems, processes, and frameworks that can turn visionary ideas into practical realities. Your natural gifts include analytical thinking, determination, and the patience to build solid foundations brick by brick. You excel at creating order from chaos and finding practical solutions to complex problems. When others get lost in theoretical possibilities, you're the one mapping out the actionable steps. Your challenge is that you can sometimes become rigid in your thinking, attached to the way things should be done, rather than remaining open to unexpected possibilities. Your life lesson is learning to balance structure with flexibility, to create systems that empower rather than constrain, I remember working with an entrepreneur born in 1964 who had built an impressive business using his natural talent for systems and processes. However, as the market changed, he struggled to adapt because he was so invested in the structures he had created. When he recognized this pattern as part of his birth energy, he was able to consciously develop more flexibility in his approach while still honoring his gift for creating effective systems. His business not only survived the market shifts, but thrived as he learned to create more adaptive frameworks. For those whose birth year ends in 1985, 1995, 2005, and so on, you are what I call the freedom seeker. You enter this world with an insatiable curiosity, a love of diversity, and a deep need for personal freedom and new experiences. Your natural gifts include adaptability, enthusiasm, and the ability to bring fresh energy to stagnant situations. You're often the catalyst for change in your environment, introducing new ideas and perspectives that revitalize those around you. Your versatile nature allows you to thrive in varied circumstances where others might feel overwhelmed. Your challenge is that you can sometimes scatter your energy, moving on to new experiences before fully integrating the lessons of the current one. Your life lesson is learning to find freedom within commitment, to discover how depth can be just as exciting as breadth. I worked with a consultant born in 1975 who had built an impressive career working with dozens of industries but felt a persistent sense of emptiness despite her success. As she came to understand her pattern as a freedom seeker, she realized she had been equating depth with constraint. She began to experiment with staying with specific industries longer, diving deeper into specialized knowledge while still honoring her need for variety in her approach and method. The result was a profound sense of fulfillment as she discovered that mastery offered a type of freedom she had never experienced through constant change. For those born in years ending with 6, like 1986, 1996, 2006, you are what I call the responsible creator. You came into this world with a remarkable capacity for nurturing, for taking care of others, and for creating beauty and harmony in your environment. Your natural gifts include compassion, aesthetic sensitivity, and the ability to make others feel valued and supported. You often serve as the emotional center of your family or community, the one people turn to when they need guidance or reassurance. Your challenge is that you can sometimes take on too much responsibility for others' well-being, neglecting your own needs in the process. Your life lesson is learning that true nurturing includes self-nurturing, that you can only sustain your care for others when you also prioritize caring for yourself. I remember working with a healthcare professional born in 1966 who was experiencing severe burnout after decades of putting her patients' needs before her own. When she recognized this pattern as connected to her birth energy, she was able to develop boundaries and self-care practices that not only restored her well-being, but actually enhanced the quality of care she provided. By honoring her nature as a responsible creator while addressing its shadow side, she found a sustainable way to express her natural gifts. For those whose birth year ends in 1987, 1997, 2007, and others, you are what I call the mystical analyst. You entered this world with a unique combination of analytical intelligence and intuitive wisdom, able to move between logical analysis and intuitive knowing with unusual fluidity. Your natural gifts include deep thinking, philosophical insight, and the ability to see beneath the surface of situations to the underlying patterns and principles. You're often drawn to fields that allow you to explore life's deeper questions while also engaging your analytical mind. Your challenge is that you can sometimes get lost in your own mental labyrinth, overthinking situations or seeking perfect understanding before taking action. Your life lesson is learning to trust your intuitive insights as much as your analytical conclusions, to find the balance between seeking truth and living it. I worked with a scientist born in 1977 who had made significant contributions to his field but felt increasingly disconnected from the joy that had initially drawn him to his work. As he came to understand his pattern as a mystical analyst, he began integrating more contemplative practices into his research process, allowing spaces for intuitive insights to complement his rigorous analysis. This integration not only renewed his passion for his work, but led to breakthrough discoveries as he learned to access knowledge through multiple channels of knowing. For those born in years ending with 8, like 1988, 1998, 2008, you are what I call the empowered manifester. You came into this world with an extraordinary capacity for turning visions into realities, for working with the material world to create tangible results. Your natural gifts include determination, practicality, and the ability to navigate power dynamics effectively. You understand instinctively how resources, authority, and influence operate, and you can work within these systems to accomplish your goals. Your challenge is that you can sometimes become too focused on external measures of success, losing touch with your inner values and authentic desires. Your life lesson is learning to align your impressive manifestation abilities with your deepest truth, to create success that nourishes your soul rather than just building your resume. I remember working with an executive born in 1968 who had achieved everything our society defines as success, wealth, position, influence, yet felt profoundly empty. When she recognized this pattern as part of her birth energy, she began the process of reevaluating what true success meant for her specifically. She didn't abandon her ambitions, but redirected them toward goals that reflected her authentic values. The result was not less success, but more meaningful success, achievements that brought genuine fulfillment rather than just temporary satisfaction. For those whose birth year ends in 1989, 1999, 2009, and so on, you are what I call the compassionate concluder. You entered this world at the end of a numerical cycle, carrying the energy of completion, integration, and letting go. Your natural gifts include empathy, universality, and the ability to embrace the bigger picture. You often feel connected to humanity as a whole, rather than just to your immediate community or nation. You have an innate understanding of how to bring things to healthy completion, how to integrate diverse elements into a cohesive whole. Your challenge is that you can sometimes feel overwhelmed by the suffering in the world, taking on emotional burdens that aren't yours to carry. Your life lesson is learning discernment in your compassion, understanding where your responsibility begins and ends, and how to make a difference without becoming depleted. I worked with a humanitarian born in 1959 who had devoted her life to addressing global challenges but found herself increasingly exhausted and discouraged. As she came to understand her pattern as a compassionate concluder, she realized she had been trying to personally solve problems that required collective action. She didn't abandon her commitment to service, but shifted her approach to focus on mobilizing and empowering others rather than trying to carry the burden alone. This shift not only renewed her energy, but actually increased her impact as she learned to work with the natural strengths of her birth energy.